Okay, now we're at episode 5. We're actually getting a look at the camp that they're taking all the people into and detaining them. There in there is a shady character, man. I mean, he's a dude that pretty much advertises himself as a salesman, that he could sell anybody anything. And he starts screwing with Doug. Remember Doug from the previous episode? He's the one that got convinced by Travis to go do the health screening and then basically, panicked and took off. Well, they detained him there. He's there. He starts screwing with them. He's crying and bawling his eyes out. They take him away. And then, of course, the shady character, the salesman guy, looks over and he sees Nick on the floor, pretty much asking, well, now who are you? And back in the neighborhood, Ophelia, Daniel's daughter, the barber, is actually causing a ruckus at one of the main gates, throwing bottles and stuff like that at some of the troops because she wants to know where her mother is. They pretty much are not answering her at all, ignoring her, walking away. She's, causing, like I said, a ruckus and all that, throwing stuff. And they got to this point where they're pretty much saying, well, you know what? We're going to have to take care of it. The guy that she's been fooling around with stops them. They're starting to head towards the gate to stop her and do something about it. Probably either detain her or take her out. And he tells one of the other troops, hey, we don't have to do this. She just wants her mom. Let me take care of it. So he goes in and tells her, hey, you need to calm down, all that stuff. And rightfully so. She's fucking pissed because they took her mom away in the middle of the night, They're not saying anything. Well, and it really wasn't even that. They agreed that they were going to take the mother. It's that, they did all the other stuff that they did without having to do all that. They bum rushed everybody else. They took Nick by force. So, of course, it has her freaked out and wanting to know what's going on. Then inside their house, Travis's son is, he's mad. He's pretty pissed. He's hurt that his mom just took off like that. And I know, obviously, you can only imagine that you see your mother just get on a truck, doesn't even really say bye. She mouths the words, I love you and I'll be back or something like that. But she just takes off with no explanation at all, And you can only imagine, being a son or being a daughter and that's having something like that happen. You're going to be upset. You're going to be, pissed off that she just did that. And I think he's kind of acting out in a way because of that. Travis is doing what he can to calm him down, but that's only going to go so far. We actually get to see the hospital, I'll say hospital, that they created, that the military created. Liza is there with the other doctor that took everybody away. And, she is kind of, I guess, taken aback by everything. And in a way, I guess, they're making her feel needed and wanted there. But at the same time, I think she's realizing that this is she probably bit off more than she could chew. There's a lot going on, a lot of people coming through there. Madison goes and looks for Alicia in her room. She finds that she has the suicide note from the neighbor, the one that, the elderly lady that passed away, that turned actually. And she starts reading it. She decides, maybe she's over there. So she goes next door to go look for her. This was actually one of those moments that the suspense built up a lot. She went downstairs next door and, looking for a flashlight. She finds a flashlight, starts going, looking around, flashlight goes off. And I'm like, oh man, something's going to happen. Somebody's going to pop out. Somebody's going to do something. But she actually comes across Ophelia and Daniel downstairs in a back room, I guess in a room somewhere in there. And they have the soldier, Ophelia's, I guess, boyfriend, you could say, tied up and with gagged with tape across his face. They take off the tape and they're trying to get some answers. The soldier, pretty much keeps telling them everything's going to be okay. Everybody's going to be coming back. Don't worry. Everything's under control. They keep asking him for more information and he keeps telling them that he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what they're talking about. But if you listen closely, there's a radio in the room with them. And it keeps talking about an Operation Cobalt, and that had right as soon as I heard that, my eyebrow raised a bit because Cobalt was actually the working title of Fear the Walking Dead when it was still in development. So I was like, okay, so it has to do something. It's a major piece, I guess you could say, if they were going to use that as a working title, and that's something that's in the show, itself. Then it's a major thing for the season. Madison starts asking Daniel, "What are you going to do? Are you going to hurt him? Please don't hurt him. Just get the information and that's it." And then he asks Madison, "You don't want him hurt, or you don't want to know about it?" Which right there, as soon as I heard that coming from Daniel's mouth, I was like, okay, this guy, he's been through some stuff. Obviously, you can tell, you can see it in his eyes. He's going to do whatever it takes to get some information. Travis tries to go talk to Moyers, who is the commanding officer of the troops in that safe zone. But they go back and forth for a while. Moyers is the same old, smart ass type of guy, giving his smart ass answers, being very sarcastic to Travis. And that's when Travis kind of very politely threatens him in a way that feels a lot more serious because it's coming from Travis and he's being very polite about it or very calm about it. And basically telling him, look, there's a lot of people here. We will fuck you up. And that's when Moyers kind of caves in and says, okay, so you want to talk to the doctor? Then I will take you to go talk to the doctor then. So they get all together and they jump in the vehicle and take off and head that way. Moyers is on a huge power trip and he feels like he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and not have to answer to anybody in the vicinity. I know he is the commanding officer of those troops, but he's doing it in a way, he's being threatening in a way that is, showing that he could be very dangerous, whenever all of this goes to shit. It's one of those instances where you see shades of the governor and things like that. Like I've said before, this guy, I know, if everything goes to shit and he's still there, then obviously, he's going to be like, okay, well, I'm the one in charge. You all listen to me. You do whatever I want. I will shoot whoever I want. Then we see Daniel with the soldier still. He's talking very calmly to him, which is very scary. The guy looks like he's getting a little worried, tied to a chair. And he's basically, Daniel puts a chair right next to him, puts a little table, starts setting things up, and only to be that he's setting up his shaving gear. He's not giving this guy a shave, obviously. And this isn't just, your typical Bic razor or anything like that. This is your straight edge razor that, they use in the barber shops. So this guy's getting really nervous. He starts giving selective information here and there about the hospital and the location and things like that. But nothing major yet. Travis and the other soldiers, they're heading out there, to the hospital in the vehicle, and then they decide to take a little detour because some of the soldiers notice that there's an infected, ways away. So they decide to stop the vehicle. They all get out. They set up a rifle, on top of the hood of the car, and one of them is about to, shoot this thing, and Moyers tells them, no, I want him to do it. And Travis is like, no, I don't like guns. I don't do that. He's like, no, I want you to do it. So after some back and forth, they convince him to step up to the plate, and he's looking through the scope. He's looking at the infected there, and you can see that he was about to, it looked like he was about to do it. But then he saw the name tag. There was a name tag on the infected, and he's like, okay. He backed off. He's like, I can't, because he realized, or he felt like it was still a human. They were trying to convince him otherwise, but internally he was like, I still can't do it. To me, these are still people. Now, I don't know how I feel about Travis right now at the moment. One part of me is happy that he has this like human side to him still, this humanity, but then another part of me is like, grow some balls, dude. I'm sorry, but grow some balls, like, it's not, you can visually see that it's not a person anymore. Take care of it, or something is going to spread, it's going to get worse. So I don't know how I feel right now. I still feel like Travis is the weakest of the group, but hopefully, I'm hoping that'll change. But if not, if that doesn't change at all, then I see him being one of the ones to go. Jump back in the vehicle, and then they head to a building where there's an attack happening. You hear over the radio, you hear screaming and gunfire and things like that. So they head over there. They all get out in a hurry. One of them tells Travis, "Do not get out of the vehicle. Whatever happens, do not get out." So they, go into the building. They don't show what's going on inside the building, which was a little disappointing to me. I wanted to see some action, but they do kind of insinuate it, or I guess you could say insinuate, because you do hear it over the radio. You hear more screams, more gunfire, things like that. So you can almost like mentally visualize, what's going on inside, without having to see the whole scene. But you also, as a viewer, you want to see all that stuff. Expecting, zombies or the infected people come out and wreak havoc. But you see Travis's face start to get a little bit more worried. He's freaking out because he's starting to hear all these screams and huge amounts of gunfire. Daniel continues to question Ophelia's boyfriend, and he, you can see it in his face. He's in pain. They're not showing anything yet, but he starts to give off more information. And then you pan down and you see that Daniel is skinning this guy, skinning his arm and taking off layers of skin. And, this guy's giving more information. Daniel asks, "What is Operation Cobalt?" And this guy is like, I can't, I can't say, or, I don't want to. Alicia and Travis's son, are in this house that they just decided to, kind of go in and goof off, and they're playing dress up, and they start to get very angsty, I guess you could say, and they start to break a lot of shit in that house. And I think a lot of it has to do with just frustration with the scenario that's going on, frustration with what's happening, and I want to say that they're kids being kids, but that's only gonna go so far. The shady guy from the detainee center, is there with Nick. Some troops come in because they check Nick and he has a fever. Now, they pretty much said, or they're insinuating that anybody that has a fever has to go. They're sick, they could turn, whatever. They're just not taking a chance. But in this case, he most likely has a fever because he's going through withdrawals. He's still coming down from the drugs and all that. So they're escorting him out. They're taking him out. And the guy pretty much makes a deal with the troops to keep Nick there. He gives them over some cufflinks, some diamond cufflinks, it looks like. And then, you start to kind of question, okay, well, maybe this guy isn't so shady or so bad after all. Maybe he could be a pretty cool dude. We go back to the attack, and Travis is still in the car. You see all these troops falling back out of the building. They're screaming. They're running towards the vehicle. They all jump in, and Travis is like, "Well, what's going on? Where's Moyers?" They look at him and say, "He's not going to make it. He's not coming back. So we need to go." And this is where my thought process goes. This guy is too much of an asshole, to die off screen, off camera. So I almost feel like this is where they get into like a Merle type of situation from The Walking Dead. In the first season, he went missing. You don't see him. You didn't see how he got away. You didn't see anything. And then he pops up 2 seasons later. I feel like this is going to be something like that. This guy just seems too much of an asshole to die like that, and not show how he died. So I feel like, this guy is going to get left behind. He's going to make his way back, and this is prediction. He's going to make his way back to the camp, whether it be next episode or next season, and he is going to find Travis, find, these people, and he's going to be a major villain, I believe. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. But that's my prediction So you heard it here first, guys. Now Madison finds out what Daniel had been doing. She kind of walks into this house. She sees Ophelia, take off crying, and Daniel kind of is coming to the sink. He's like walking to the sink, almost kind of distraught that he had to do this, and that his daughter Ophelia, saw him doing it, and he almost feels ashamed. You can almost see the shame in his face, but the way he puts it is like it had to be done. It had to be done back then, and it has to be done again. So that right there shows that he did a lot of shit back in his day. And this is why I got that vibe from him, almost like a military vibe. Maybe he wasn't military exactly, but he did something. He was somebody that had to, torture people. And ultimately, after all that, Daniel, says what he has to say, and Madison just asks him, so did we get the info? Right there, Madison is probably one of the strongest characters in the show right now. I feel like she is the Rick Grimes of the show. Even though it took a little while for Rick to become who he is right now, the hardened type of hero that we know. I think Madison has that already in her, and that's actually kind of comforting in a sense, because you see Travis, which is the man of the house, man of the family, and he's the one that's kind of like wanting to tread lightly in what he does and think rationally. Madison is like, we need answers now. What did you find out? Back at the makeshift hospital, Liza finds Daniel's wife, Griselda, and she is in, I guess it almost seemed like a chicken coop to me. She's by herself, surrounded by a gate, and she's just there in a hospital bed. The other doctor comes and lets her know that, look, we had to take her foot. She is experiencing septic shock, so pretty much she's not going to make it. Septic shock obviously happened because of the infection, and it just, the infection spread into her body. So right now she's kind of just there, they're just waiting. The troop starts to spill the beans to Daniel after a while, and lets him know, everything about, Operation Cobalt. Pretty much Operation Cobalt is the evacuation command for the troops. They're leaving everybody there. They're taking off. They're, running with their tail between their legs and leaving the area. He did say that they had this, infestation, I guess, of infected, and they couldn't control, what happened or whatever. They locked them in this big arena. They locked them in there. So there's a ton of infected people in this one area that they just have sitting there. Operation Cobalt is just them taking off, not caring about anything else. And it also has procedures in order for them to basically terminate everybody in all these safe zones, which you see the look on Travis's face whenever he walks in and finds out about all this stuff. And you can almost pinpoint that moment that his heart dropped to his stomach, because he realizes that there's no winning with these people right now. All the efforts that he, tried to go through to get through to these people, through the troops, it was for nothing, because they were going to kill them all anyway. And we see the shady guy talk to Nick. Nick is continuing to throw up. He's being sick, obviously. And he tells him, hey, why did you save me? He's like, I made a deal to keep you here because I need you for something. So there you go. The guy's still shady. He's not entirely a good guy, I guess. It looks like he is trying to get out. He shows Nick a key that he got. Now, they don't show where he got it from. Probably, either made a deal with one of the troops or something like that. But he knows that everybody's taking off. He told Nick that, hey, all the troops are leaving, so we got to get out of here. Travis's son and Madison's daughter are walking through the street from one of the houses that they were in, and they notice some vehicles, some military vehicles going down the road. They try to hide, but then they quickly realize that they're not patrolling anymore. They're leaving. They're just heading straight out. They don't care. So, that throws the light bulb off in them, like something's happening, something's going on. They show Liza and the other doctor at the hospital with Daniel's wife, and she starts to wake up. She starts to ramble. What seems like she's talking about Daniel's past and talking about I know who you really are now, and da da da, and all these things in Spanish regarding probably most likely what Daniel used to do, the torture and all that stuff. So she starts going through all that stuff, and then she dies. She goes into shock, and then she just dies. Now, Liza is like, okay, well, so what do we do? The other doctor says we gotta kill her, or we gotta, take her out, shoot her in the head because she'll turn. Now, I guess this was pretty cool. They have this gun. It's like a pressurized gun that they use for livestock, and it was, I guess you could say it was like the most humane way to take out livestock if they were sick or in pain. And all it is like it's a pressurized gun, and they just put it to Griselda's head. Liza pulled the trigger, and you heard nothing but just like an air, just a little puff of air, which I think could be useful. Well, see, it could be useful until the pressurized, probably CO2, runs out, but it makes no noise. That would be perfect for taking out all these zombies. Now, I don't know about how far it shoots and things like that, but that could possibly be a useful tool. They pan back from the arena, and they show just how big the arena is. And you get a big picture of what could be inside, what it sounds like. Again, they give you like this mental image of just how many there are in there, and there's a lot. There has to be a lot of them in there. And that's when Daniel he steps back and kind of realizes that shit just got real. So we'll just have to see what happens from there. The next episode this coming Sunday is the season finale. There was only 6 episodes. If you haven't watched it at all yet, then I would suggest doing so now, so that way you can get that last episode in, and be satisfied. Because there's sometimes where I love binge watching, and then there's sometimes when I don't. With this show, I think binge watching is a must for the first season, so that way you don't get too uninterested when not a whole lot of things happen, in the very beginning. But it's great. It's been a great show so far. Great episode. This one had a whole lot of stuff going on. This is probably going to be a longer video than all the other ones because I just like to talk sometimes. But if you liked it, then give me a thumbs up. Comment down below what you thought about the season so far and what you're expecting, on the final episode of the season for Fear the Walking Dead. I do also want to hear your theories about Moyers, the commanding officer, from the military guy. What are your theories about him? I'm very interested in that because, again, I have mine. I had my prediction, but I want to hear yours. So comment down below. And if you like this video at all, whatever, then please subscribe to our channel. We'll be doing obviously another overview, a review of the last episode, and then probably like a wrap up kind of video as well. And we also have the roundup, which is a new segment every week. And there's always content on this channel. So please subscribe, and we will catch you next time.